Hey guys, Friday afternoon, once again, they roll around once a week and I am loading up. Now, today I'm gonna run you through probably the most critical item that we have in our whole kit when we go on touring trips at Patriot Games, and that is our fridges. And for us, we only choose Dometic. We run Dometic right throughout the entire range of Patriot campers products, all the P-Core stuff, and even when we're out in the boats, Dometic Fridges, they've just been so reliable for us, and it's one of those things, you've heard me say it before, when you find something that works, typically you just stick to it. Now, the benefit of working with a company like Dometic, Dometic are a global corporation, I suppose. They are worldwide. So even when we're doing our travels over in Mongolia, our travels in the United States, the Dometic products are there and they're fully supported. Now, Dometic continue to reinvent the wheel when it comes to cooling for the RV 12-volt kind of industry. So whether you're into boats, caravans, camping, four-wheel driving, this is where the Dometic fridges really come into play. Now, this product right here is pretty exciting to us specifically because we launched our brand new model, the Patriot Campers X3, and the kitchen layout in the X3 surrounding the CFX3 75 litre. Now, this is the first proper dual zone that we've ever introduced into one of our camper trailer models. We kind of found as our family was growing and the kids were getting bigger, the consumption of food, you know, with those two teenage boys and even myself, it continues to increase. But even when you're going on those long trips, you really need the flexibility to have the ability to have a fridge or a freezer or a combination of both at the one time. In the back of the truck, we'll always run a freezer, and then in the camper trailer, we'll run fridge because that's where we're preparing all of our meals, and that's our, you know, snatch and grab items. Where the freezer, you only kind of attack that once a day when you're touring. You pull your stuff out of the freezer, chuck it in the fridge so it defrosts over the next day. Now we have the ability that we don't need to do that with the dual zone 75 litre. This brand new product, it might look very similar to the old 75 litre or the old CFX range of coolers, but there's been a lot of big changes that Dometic have made. Probably the top two for me when it comes to the new CFX3 range, they're lighter than the old range. Anything that you can do to bring your tear weight down on your whole touring setup, and even though it might be a couple of kilos, lots of couple of kilos in different areas amount to a lot of weight. But the other big one for me as well is power consumption. So the power consumption rating from Dometic, I'll be honest with you and say I haven't noticed it personally as far as power draw goes on the X3 in particular. We've got 300 amp hours of battery power in this thing. So we've got tons of power and we've got solar on top, Anderson plug. We never really get our batteries down low enough to notice, but I'm told that the power consumption in the new CFX3 is much better than the old model. Let's run through some of the changes. Some are obvious, some are not so obvious. They've gone away from plastic handles to a die cast handle. Big advantage there is your tie down points. I haven't experienced the past model breaking, but from, I suppose, my background, my experience, I can tell you these are going to be a lot stronger. You'll notice there's a colour change. It's only slight. The actual, I don't know, what do you call it? The shade of the colour, I suppose, but the use of colour, they just look a lot more modern. A big one for me is the change of the rubber seals inside. They've actually got proper refrigerated seals now as well. What's going to kill your power consumption on your fridge is always going to be your loss of cool air, I suppose, or letting that ambient temperature inside of your fridge. It makes your compressor work a lot harder, so it kicks in and out a lot more. Inside the fridge, you've still got your baskets, dividers. For us specifically, how we typically load our fridge when we're at home, we'll just pull the baskets out. The baskets go inside the house. Sarah will do all the prep with, you know, with one of the kids. They'll put everything in and then we'll just bring the whole basket out, drop it back in. Same when you're unpacking when you get home. So you just pull the basket straight out of the fridge. While they're doing the unloading inside, I'll clean the fridge out. There's drain bungs at the bottom as well. So if you want to lift it out the camper trailer, if you do want to give them a hose out, that's possible to do, that you can drain straight through the bottom as well. Now the fridges are weatherproof. I'm not sure what the IP rating is, but they are weatherproof. Big change for the new model for the CFX3. This is a TFT display now, not an LED like the old one, so it's a fair bit clearer. Now, with the display, obviously, you can display each one of your zones and you can modify the temperature on each zone. So if I go into set temp, I'll go to the left zone, which is this side here. You can turn your temperature up and down. Like I said at the start, you can go fridge, fridge, freeze, freeze, or fridge, freeze, or fridge, freeze, yeah? So there's 4 different combinations that you can possibly do there. Now, in here as well, you've got all of your other standard settings. So you can go into battery protection. You can set 3 different voltage modes, which is pretty cool on the Dometics: high, medium, and low. What that'll do is that'll pick up what voltage your batteries are sitting at, and it'll tell the fridge to kick out or turn off a different voltage power. So if you're only running very small batteries and you're relying on them, you would set it to the highest priority, so it'll kick off sooner. If you want it to run your batteries down to dead low, which I do always in my trailers, you can set that up there. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. This is where it starts getting interesting. So you've got the option to run the fridge off Wi-Fi, but you can Bluetooth it to your phone. Now, the advantage of having the Bluetooth on your phone is particularly when you're driving, right? The number one thing that we always used to see in the early days of Patriot campers is when fridges are wired up to a cigarette socket, like your conventional 12-volt cigarette socket, you go down a corrugated road, I tell you 9 times out of 10, that cigarette socket will vibrate out and it will fall out. Sometimes you can travel for a whole day without knowing your fridge was turned off, spoil all your food inside of it. What we do now at Patriot Campers, every single fridge that we wire with an Anderson plug. So there's a tip to everyone: use an Anderson plug connector if you're going to be traveling on rough terrain, especially in the boat when you're cutting through chop and all the rest of it. Cigarette plugs like to fall out. But what it does is it gives you the ability to look at your phone and really monitor what your fridge is doing at any time of the day. In the black truck, if you've watched the whole series, you know I've got an iPad down at my left leg on the black truck, and that hooks up to pretty much everything that I can Bluetooth to in the car. And just organically, every hour or so, I'll kind of flick over to the CFX app, check the fridges are still running, and I know that I'm going to have fridge power. So while I've got it here, I'll see if here's one I prepared earlier. We're actually already connected. Obviously a little bit of prep goes into these videos that we make sure that everything's working before we fire the cameras up. There's the app there, and the app is really just this simple. You can see the left side of the fridge, the right side of the fridge. This is how we can control the temperature. We go up and down, so to -14, -10. I'll move this back up to, this is current temperature, so we've obviously just turned this on. Right side, you can adjust the temperature up and down there. If you want to get a little bit more accurate, you can use the plus and minus buttons down there. Now, if you scroll across, this information can be really handy as well. You can see the left side compartment. This is the actual power consumption by time. You can change that over to day or week. I wouldn't look at it by the hour, but I'll look at it by the day or the week. If you don't have the ability to replenish your batteries when you're out on a trip, let's say you're camped up on a beach somewhere, you don't have a solar panel with you, you're not going to run the car every day, this can be really handy to see what your power draw is. You know how much time you've got, how much power the fridge is going to draw from that battery, that you know how long you're going to stay out there until you're going to need to charge. Either hook up and go for a drive, plug a solar in, plug in 240, whatever you may do. So that's both sides there. Now, the other thing you can do in here is you can change your battery protection modes, like I spoke about earlier. Everything that you can do on the screen, you can do on your phone. This one's really cool, temperature alarm. You can set a temperature alarm, so if your fridge does get below temperature, your phone will alert you that your fridge is below temperature. Again, might seem a little bit gimmicky to some people, but once you become reliant upon it, that system there is awesome. So, that about wraps up our fridge of choice, which is now the CFX3 75 litre, but a big consideration in the design of the Patriot Campers X3 was to be able to take this fridge here, which is available through any of our distributors worldwide. Like I said earlier, Australia, United States, Mongolia, and obviously Dometic are in many more countries than that. This is where Patriot Campers sells them through. Check them out, Dometic CFX3 75 litre. Time to fill this little puppy with beer. It's Friday afternoon, we're going to finish loading up, and I am out of here.